Cathulhu Online, Munya. Chapter 110. Chapter 1 Cat Dad's Priorities. Superhuman. That was the common terms of power users, who had obtained their power from a Vermo game. Every day, 100 superheroes flew in the sky and battled against invading monsters from an alternate dimension heavenly Deo universe. Half of the world was ruined by the invaders. Sects and guilds were the norms as they vied for natural resources from meteorites. Meanwhile, the other half of the world was peaceful as regular humans continued their daily life as if nothing had happened. Ignorance is a bliss, many philosophers said. And today, as well, everything was peaceful. Boom! Call the ambulance! A drunk truck driver jumped out of the vehicle and staggered. His head was bleeding, and he was also in a bad shape after he drove through a red light and ran a middle-aged man over. The front and the back wheel of the truck crushed a bike and its driver. His bike was broken in half because of a certain six-wheeled truck. The middle-aged biker's spinal cord was broken, and he couldn't feel anything below his stomach. The injured man coughed while he held a dying senior cat in his arms. Meow Zio Mao, the crippled middle-aged biker, ignored the commotion on the street. He only gazed at the dying cat and shed tears of regret. "I'm so sorry, Munyang. I'm such a failure owner. I can't bring you to a vet like this." Munya. The cat's soft voice soothed Zio Mao. However, it also cried as it was aware of its owner's injury and its demise. A large hole in its neck, caused by a stray pitbull, had been bleeding. "Goodbye, Munyang. I hope you can go to heaven, unlike me." Meow Zio Mao closed his eyes and accepted his fate. The senior cat crawled to Zio Mao's face and licked him one last time. Naya. The cat owner and the senior cat passed away together. Rai-ee-ee-ee-ning. A loud alarm suddenly woke up Meow Zio Mao from his tranquil rest. He sat up and slapped the clock in reflex. "Mother humper! Can't you just let me die in peace?" Meow Zio Mao yelled and punted the alarm clock to the ceiling. He then scratched his head and rubbed his eyes. Wait a minute. How could he still move? Wasn't his spine crushed? How could he still feel his legs? Meow Zio Mao frowned. He slowly opened his eyes, and his vision slowly adjusted to the sunlight, beaming from the window. Window? House? Realizing something, Meow Zio Mao widened his eyes and looked around. This room. Oh, is this heaven or a dream? This was his parents' house. He used to live here when he was young. After his parents had gone missing after a plane crash, Meow Zio Mao inherited this house. However, he sold it to invest in a virtual reality game to make a living as a crypto farmer. Of course, his life wasn't perfect, but he got by. Looking at the room, he sobbed, regretting that he had sold this house. He missed it. He also missed his missing parents. Heaven. Is this heaven, right? I'm seeing the things I regret the most. He walked toward a closet and opened it. The mirror, which was attached to the interior closet door, reflected the youthful face of Meow Zio Mao. The teenager in the reflection had light smooth skin, a sharp facial outline, and a crew-cut hairstyle. The 16-year-old Chinese teen in the mirror looked like any photogenic guy on the street, except for his pupils. What kind of Asian dude had a pair of golden pupils? As soon as Meow Zio Mao saw the face of himself, he gasped. Is this the real life or is this just fantasy? Zio Mao almost sang the iconic song. Then, he looked around to search for a calendar or any newspaper. Unfortunately, he didn't have those in his room. He didn't even have a computer in his room. Meow Zio Mao dashed out of the room and ran down the stairs, heading to the living room right away. Then, he found a tall muscular stern-looking Asian man in a suit, sitting at a kitchen table while reading something on his phone. His facial outline, thick eyebrows, and intimidating glare resembled the Golgo 13's protagonist. A blonde-haired woman in the kitchen was busy putting a newly cooked sunny-side egg from a pan to a plate. As usual, she tied her hair into a ponytail and she put on her glasses whenever she was home. She also wore her favorite Adidas tracksuit as if she was one of the Gonics. Without looking at her face, Xiao Mao knew that his mother was a beauty. Tears of joy and nostalgia leaked from Xiao Mao's eyes. He missed these two. Mom, Dad. The dad glanced at Xiao Mao without moving his head. He still faced his phone as he talked. What? Because of the joyous mood, the next words coming out of Miao Xiao Mao's mouth was a mim. What year is it? The father, aka Miao De Mao, rolled his eyes. Are you role-playing a time traveler or are you reenacting an old mim? Miao Xiao Mao laughed as he wiped the tears off his face. Was this the legendary time-traveling regression? If this was a dream, he wished that he would never wake up from it. If this was heaven, he swore to worship every god in existence. Dear God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Jade Emperor, Shiv, Odin, Exodius torso, left arm, left leg, right leg, and whatever god you are, thank you. I shall worship you from now on. Miao Xiao Mao clenched his fists and bit his lower lip, holding back the excitement. Xiao Mao's father shook his head. Sorry to break it to you, but you ain't serving any god anytime soon. Oh. So, is this Earth? Welcome to Earth, dipshit. Was the dream last night fun? Miao De Mao stopped looking at his silly child and focused on the messaging app on his phone. Not really. It was a nightmare. Hee. Xiao Mao inwardly laughed as he managed to confirm the general information. He now believed that everything was not a dream, and he was still alive. In novels, protagonists quickly adapted to the regression experience. But for Miao Xiao Mao, his blood pressure surged and his heart was having a party with his kidneys and liver. At this rate, he might have a heart attack at any moment. Yet, countless thoughts increased his blood pressure to the point that his face was as red as tomatoes. What was the first prize lottery number that he could remember? What was the stock market trend? What was the Bitcoin price? Miao Xiao Mao sat at the kitchen table as if it was a natural thing to do. He took several deep breaths to calm down. Once Miao Xiao Mao was calm, he thought of the darkest year of his life, which happened to him during the first day of high school. Everything happened because of a certain schoolgirl and her friends. The dad glanced at Xiao Mao and twitched his nose. Go wash your face. If better, take a morning bath and get ready to go to school. Are you going to be late on your first day with that sweaty smell on you? First day to school? So, seriously, Dad? What year is it? Xiao Mao groaned. The dad sighed and played along. 2023. What year did you come from, my time-traveling son? 2045. Pfft. I bet you don't remember the winning lottery ticket numbers. No, but I do remember the Bitcoin price. If you have money, put it on short and wait for a year or two. Right, the dad scoffed and shook his head. Was that something from your wet dream? Perhaps. But seriously, sell Bitcoin if you have, now. It's gonna crash. I don't invest in crypto. Buy it with your pocket money if you want to invest. Actually, for beginners, you should buy stable coins and stake them. It's better than putting all your saving money in the bank for 0.1% annual interest. Are you sure you don't invest in crypto? How the hell do you know all that? Xiao Mao slightly smiled. He was relieved that his father was still the same. He might look scary on the surface, but he was easy to talk to and he was knowledgeable in various fields. He sometimes listened to Xiao Mao's nonsense and played along with it. Xiao Mao remembered how he distanced himself from his father after he suffered from a dramatic setback at school. After that, the distance between them got further away until his father left the world. But not this time, Xiao Mao swore that he would never repeat the same mistake. While Xiao Mao had fun looking at his father's face, his mother brought him his breakfast. Xiao Mao, it's 7.30. You'll be late for school. Xiao Mao had no time to enjoy himself. He glanced at his father's phone to look at the date and year. The dad also noticed Xiao Mao's eyes. He purposely switched the screen to show the date, time, and year. It was the first day of June 2023. The first year of high school started today. Satisfied? MHM. Xiao Mao swallowed his breakfast as if he was in an eating competition and ran up the stairs to put on his school uniform. His body moved as if he had done it 100 times in the past. As Xiao Mao was about to leave the house, his mother shouted at him. Did you properly SSS? SSS was an abbreviation of shit, shower and shave. His mother always told him and his father to do it every morning. Nope. Xiao Mao broke a sweat. Don't amber turd in class. Also, buy cologne or something and spray it on your armpits. Too expensive, I won't. Xiao Mao laughed and sprinted out of the house. His current house was located in Beijing, and the school was 500 meters away. He could either take a bus or walk there. Unlike regular schools in China, which required students to come to school at 7 a.m. and leave at 9 p.m., this private school allowed students to return home as early as 6 p.m. The school life of Chinese students was absurd here. However, for Xiao Mao, this was the norm. Xiao Mao was grateful that his parents were wealthy enough to afford this school's atrocious tuition fees. At least, he would have enough free time at night for his upcoming projects. Xiao Mao reminisced his past and took a deep breath. The racing heart rate decelerated as the emotion party had ended. He had a stomach ache because of the excitement and stress, though. Pooh! As he had forgotten to take a dump this morning, he had a gas issue. He loudly farted like an old man. Many pedestrians glanced and frowned at him while they covered their noses in disgust. Xiao Mao laughed, sorry. It's okay. My fart is clean and healthy. You won't catch COVID, I swear. He hurried and rushed to his destination, but it was in the opposite direction of the school. Xiao Mao headed to a Buddhist temple, where he had picked up a certain stray kitten. Deep in the temple's cemetery zone, Xiao Mao looked behind a luxurious tomb, where offerings, fruits, and flowers of the deceased were always plenty, as if many people kept coming back here to pay respect to this person. Behind the tombstone was a pregnant black cat. She had been resting on the dirty ground, panting in exhaustion. I see. So Munya hasn't been born yet. Xiao Mao tried to pick up the mother cat, but it hissed at him. Relax. I'll bring you to my house, okay? Hiss. It scratched Xiao Mao's hands and arms. The cat struggled to break free, but he managed to catch her and carried it back to his home. As soon as Xiao Mao returned home, he opened the door and dropped the cat inside the house. Ma! I've found a mama cat on the street, and her babies are coming out soon. I'm keeping the cat and the kitties, okay? You what? The surprised voice of Xiao Mao's mother echoed in the kitchen. The mama cat is also sick. Please feed it and send it to a vet if you can, pretty please. We're not keeping pets, you dipshit. But she will die if we don't do something. Xiao Mao remembered the fateful event when he returned home from the worst day in school. He ran into a family of newborn cats in the cemetery. After that day, he kept coming back to the tombstone to feed the mama cat and her kittens. However, a week later, the mama cat and most of its babies had been bitten by stray dogs. Only one kitten survived. He named the kitty Munya, the same way how it meowed. Xiao Mao ended up adopting the kitten and lived together for 2 decades before they were ran over by a truck. Don't worry, Munya. Your mama and your siblings won't die this time. Xiao Mao reminisced of Munya's sweet voice. He could even hear the unique voice whenever he thought of the bicolor cat. Munya. Chapter 2 Cat Dad's Determination. Without a fully charged phone, Xiao Mao was depressed. He blamed his old self for spending all his time playing mobile games and forgetting to recharge the phone. He stood in front of the school gate. The massive high school complex looked like a university campus rather than a school for children or teenagers. Xiao Mao glanced at the giant billboard on the building opposite the school gate. Pangu Online 2 grand opening soon. Virtual reality games were popular when Xiao Mao was a high school student. Many games offered a rich gaming experience while some boasted that everything gamers did in their games benefited the mind of the gamers. However, one game stood out from the rest because of its atrocious economic model. GameFi. It was the short term of decentralized finance gaming. Gamers were usually required to purchase the game's native cryptocurrency tokens before they could play the game. Xiao Mao narrowed his eyes and stared at the ad billboard. He knew what would happen to the game in the next decades. This is not the time to invest in that game. The contribution token's price will plummet by 99% within a month after the Edo sale. Then, the price stagnates for almost a year before it jumps up after the game introduces that feature. And when the secret of the game is revealed. No, stop thinking about that for now. I have to get a part-time job and save my money before that happens. Xiao Mao turned around and walked into the school, heading toward the bulletin board in front of the main building to check his class and name. While Xiao Mao was walking, he attracted the attention of the local students. As Xiao Mao was a half-European half-Asian man, he stood out among the black-haired students. His taller height, unique face, and refined jawlines looked attractive more than plain Asian dudes. But from Xiao Mao's perspective and his past experience, they were flies, looking at the smelliest dog's poop. Schoolgirls can't be trusted. Thoughts be gone. Xiao Mao avoided touching any schoolgirl and checked the bulletin board and found his name. Just like what he had remembered, he was assigned to 1E class, which belonged to the not-so-good students who barely passed the school entrance exam. I'm not going to get demoted to that F class again. He went to his class. Xiao Mao sat through 3 hours of boring introduction classes in the morning. Having the mind of a 40 years old, some content in classes were too simple. At lunch break, he finally got a chance to move and relax. However, a dozen schoolgirls surrounded him. Where are you from? What's your name? Can I have your Instagram and Telegram ID? Can I have your phone number? Wanna have lunch together? Would you like to hang out after school? Their sharp voice chirped as if they were fighting to get his attention. Again, Xiao Mao felt like he was a poop in the middle of a horde of thirsty flies. I didn't take a morning bath on purpose. Don't you smell my nasty armpits dead rat scent? Why are you ganging on me? Despite having a nasty mental monologue, Xiao Mao wryly smiled as he politely replied to them one at a time. While he was at it, he took several deep breaths, preparing for the inevitable. A few minutes later, a pretty schoolgirl with a short skirt and revealing uniform walked over. She shooed the others away and coyly sat at Xiao Mao's desk. Hey, handsome. Wanna come with me? I'll show you something good. If Xiao Mao had to define this girl, she would be described as thought. She wore thick makeup and tanned her skin like Japanese gyros, and she seemed to have tampered with her bosoms. They were fake. Yet, she unbuttoned her blouse and revealed the cleavage. In his previous life, Xiao Mao fell prey to the temptation before, and he still regretted it for over 20 years. She was the reason for his class demotion as he ended up joining the worst clique of the school and became a delinquent. A great man once said, "Never stick it in crazies." And Xiao Mao agreed with it after suffering through 3 years of painful high school experience. Nope. I won't fall for those cheap fake boobs again. He inwardly scoffed at the girl's seduction. He stood up and gently smiled, I'm sorry. I'm not used to the country at the moment. Does anybody know a way to the cafeteria? The chirping girls were delighted, and they held Xiao Mao's arms to bring him away from the silicone chest girl. After lunch, the classes were uneventful. The brown woman had already hooked up with a guy at the back of the class, and that big guy was all over her. Xiao Mao remembered them. They were the cliché class delinquents that picked on the weak kids. In the previous life, they tried to befriend Xiao Mao through the thought, but Xiao Mao declined. The fake-chested woman later had an affair with the big guy. Then, troublesome school life ensued. Xiao Mao didn't want to repeat the mistake ever again. He ignored the guy and the thought. After the annual exam, he might be able to change classes to the AORB class if he could get a good grade. Then, he would be out of their radars. At 7:10 p.m., Xiao Mao's classes were over. He ignored the poop flies and sprinted home before friends of the thought and the big guy from F class could show up. Xiao Mao managed to leave the building unhindered. He could hear the loud voice of several delinquents, and he could imagine what would happen to the students that were targeted by the group. I'm not a protagonist. None of my business. Although Xiao Mao knew what might have transpired over there, he would not take action. Staying low-key and getting through the boring period in life was his goal. 5 months later, Xiao Mao gazed at his grade sheet. As he had predicted, he scored A in every subject on the first semester. If he could maintain his grades, he might be promoted to the A class. Now, he could officially move away from the bullies and potential troubles. Xiao Mao rushed to a convenience store next to the school. As soon as he entered the store manager nodded at him. Hello, Boss Qin. Early as usual. You are working hard, Xiao Mao. Qin Yun, the local manager, was 55 this year. He wore glasses, and he looked weak. However, he had a toned body in his clothes as he was a former bodybuilder. Hee. I have cats to feed. Ha ha ha. Right. Isn't this the payday as well? By the way, I know that cat food doesn't cost much. What have you been doing with your excess money? Woman. Nat, I'm saving money for that. Xiao Mao pointed at the game poster in the store. Pangu Online 2. Vermo game? Isn't that game in the news? Will you invest your money in a Ponzi scheme? Qin Yun knew about the game as it was in the news. The cryptocurrency of the game company had plummeted by 99%. The Edo price was $2 per token, but it was less than 6 cents per token now. Xiao Mao grinned, I know the inside news. It will moon in 10 months. Pfft. Every crypto freaks said that. I'm serious, though. Whatever. Go change your clothes. Get ready for your shift. Xiao Mao pouted as the boss didn't believe in him. Puuu. Ah. Xiao Mao accidentally farted because of stress. Qin Yun covered his nose, do something with your farting habit. Why do you always fart whenever you start your shift? Go see a doctor. I'm sorry yai. Midnight, Xiao Mao headed home. As soon as Xiao Mao reached home, he discovered his parents in the living room. A pizza box was in the middle of the coffee table. His parents grinned. They waved their hands at Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao felt bad for his parents. Are you waiting for me? Miao De Mao snorted, obviously, it's your judgment day. Grades, now. Typical Asian parents, Xiao Mao complained in his mind. Still, he and his parents made a bet. He was confident that he could get the bonus and earn that pizza on the table as a midnight snack. Xiao Mao puffed his chest and handed over the grade sheet. 4.0 GPA. Perfect A in every subject. Easy. Xiao Mao's father schemed through every subject. Then, his facial expression turned dark. Why not S? Xiao Mao's smiling face was frozen, I beg your pardon. Above the A grade should be the S grade, right? Doesn't the school integrate the AA grade or AAA grade? Xiao Mao face-palmed, Dad. School grades ain't tiers on the internet. There is no AA grade, AAA grade, or S grade whatsoever. Don't mix it up. Pfft. When I took the exam, I scored 100 points out of 10. The letters of my grades are painted in real gold to honor my achievements. Look at your sheet. The letters color looks like shit. You're a failure. Messing with his son enough, Miao Damao gave the sheet to his wife. The mother read it and grinned. Having an Asian kid growing up in the Asian environment is the best. Xiao Mao wanted to retort. That was racism. Also, the mother was from Eastern Europe, who had migrated to China long ago. She seemed to rely on internet memes to understand the Asian culture even though she had been living in China for decades. Anyway, I win the bet. Can I have that pizza and my check? The father scoffed and tossed Xiao Mao an envelope. Xiao Mao opened the envelope. Indeed, a bundle of cash was in there. Jokes aside, good job. Maintain this enthusiasm, and you won't end up homeless. Also, we've eaten half of the pizza. The rest is yours. As for the game capsule that you asked for, I'll order it online. Alright. Phew. Again, Xiao Mao had a gas issue. And it smelled like dog poop. Get your ass outta here. You skunk. His parents screamed and covered their noses. Xiao Mao took the pizza and sprinted to his room. But his father's voice came after him. Be sure to take a shit quietly, okay? In his room, Xiao Mao opened the envelope to count the cash. 100 bills of 100 yuan notes. 10,000 RMB or 1,600 US dollars. It was not much, but it was honest work. Xiao Mao opened his bank book to check his total saving. After working part-time for 4 months, Xiao Mao gained a humble amount of saving money. Xiao Mao had 3,400 US dollars in his account. This amount came from the part-time job and daily allowance from his parents. With the additional 10k RMB, Xiao Mao had a bit over 5,000 US dollars to spend. It was enough to start investing in the game cryptocurrency and that game. Chapter 3 Cat Dad's Investment. Pangu Online 2. The first game of this series came out a decade ago. 100 million players around the globe jumped into this game because of its realism and the stunning universe. The game featured a massive universe sandbox and a bit of wuxia fantasy elements. Players could freely explore the universe and discover many secrets, which could affect the real body of the players. Many players found themselves getting stronger after playing the game. Several middle-aged game-addicted men turned into handsome young men. Even medical experts were baffled by the phenomenon. Because of these mysterious perks, the popularity of the game reached a new height that no rival game company could contest against it. Unfortunately, after the game had been operating for 2 years, Pangu Universe Incorporation, aka the owner of the game, suddenly shut down the servers even though the company made $100 million of profit every quarter. Many gamers protested the decision of Pangu Universe Incorporation's CEO. However, the CEO publicly stated that the game's mechanics were broken and couldn't bear to continue giving services to a bad game. And now, the sequel of the game appeared, and the gamers went crazy over it. Even after the game added the cryptocurrency and NFT features to the game, no one complained. It had been 2 months since the game had been officially released. Xiao Mao was eager to check the game's status and its cryptocurrency tokens. Xiao Mao opened his laptop, which he had bought with his own money, and checked the crypto trading site. He searched for several keywords. As expected, it's crashed. Xiao Mao glanced at the token pairs. The number was red as usual. Packed, Pangu Contribution Token, /USDT, Tether USD. 0.05. Minus 15.5%. The number told Xiao Mao that one pact could be exchanged for 5 cents. It was worthless. This token was the same as other shitcoins in the crypto market. Xiao Mao remembered this token well. The price would continue to go lower, but it would stay at 0.04 to 0.05 there for about 10 months. The insiders of Pangu Universe Incorporation would secretly buy and hoard the coins before the major update while players continued to make profits from selling the tokens they earned from the game. At one point, the game company would publish a piece of news, and gamers around the world, including crypto investors, would jump on this ship. Then, the price would climb from 5 cents per token to $2 per token within 10 months. That was a huge opportunity. Even a kid could tell that any investor could get a lot of money if they bought it now. In addition, the price would continue to rise from that point. $2 per token would be considered cheap by then. Looking at the screen, Xiao Mao grew impatient. He couldn't wait for the price to get to the lowest point anymore. He purchased $3,500 worth of packed coins right away. Amitabha Buddha all in. Praise Jesus all in. Allahu Akbar all in. Xiao Mao prayed and pressed the market purchase button. Cha-ching! Though, from a calculator, Xiao Mao should have gotten 70,000 tokens. However, because of the exchange site's algorithm, Xiao Mao managed to purchase 69,500 tokens after the gas fee and the slippage charge. After getting the tokens, Xiao Mao leaned back and rested his arms on top of his head. He pursed his lips and began to imagine his future. Should I do nothing and grab the easy cash in 10 months? If I wait, these digital tokens will be transformed into $139,000. After that, it will gradually increase in value. In 2 years, the price will be $20 per token, and I will have. Xiao Mao could have waited 10 months for the price to jack up to $2 per token. Then, he would have earned $139,000. Then, 2 years later, it would become $1.39 million. Still, Xiao Mao knew that he could earn more from the game. The 69,500 tokens would generate millions of tokens if his game character was good enough. Ugh! What should I do? A guaranteed 139,000 bucks? I can continue working part-time and convert all my money into crypto. Then, I can get more. Before the price jumps, I have 6 to 7 months to work. I could have like, 3 grand to invest. And that money would become $500,000. But if I invest in the game, I can quit my jobs. I don't have to go to college and waste my time. I can even earn $1 million a year at the minimum if I get to that point. Or, I can keep half of my coins and invest another half to the game. That should be the ideal choice. This was a common dilemma of amateur investors and GameFi players. Greed. Had Xiao Mao had the mind of a veteran stock investor, he would have taken the safest route and waited 3 years. Then, he could have walked away with a guaranteed profit. However, Xiao Mao knew about the potential of the game and the future development of Pangu Online too, including its secrets. It was not all about money. It was not about having a dream job as a pro gamer. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. In his previous life, he regretted that he didn't play the game earlier. He missed so many good perks that came with the game that benefited his body in the real world. It was about immortality. Xiao Mao continued to grumble as he closed his laptop. He couldn't do anything to the tokens right now, so he went to sleep. This matter needed to be considered carefully. But as Xiao Mao was about to fall asleep, he had an idea. Why shouldn't I think of this earlier? The next day, Xiao Mao consulted his parents. I'm going to invest in crypto. Can I borrow some money? No. Miao De Mao instantly rejected him. The dad knew, cryptocurrency trading was not suited for beginners and amateur traders. Every crypto investor always advised others to only use cold money, which they could afford to lose. They should never use borrowed cash or use the hot money to invest in cryptocurrency, ever. But I know the inside news. Xiao Mao's father glared at him. If you want to play with fire, do it with your own money. And if you lose everything, it's your fault. But if you succeed, then you owe me 50% of your profits. Hey! Bonk! Xiao Mao's mother hammer-fisted the dad's head and smiled. Which token are you investing in, Xiao Mao? Packed. Miao De Mao's expression changed. On the other hand, Xiao Mao's mother widened her eyes. Miao De Mao put down his phone and stared at Xiao Mao's face. How much do you need? Never mind. I'm not going to trouble you. Forget it, Dad. Xiao Mao's mother, aka Katerina, beamed him with a bright smile. She opened a cabinet and pulled out an envelope. In there, Katerina pulled out 10 stacks of RMB cash. She tossed them to Xiao Mao. Miao De Mao's face was ashen. That was his secret stash. Katerina giggled, I won't give it for free, but I'll give you a loan. A loan? I'll loan you 100,000 RMB. The interest rate is 10% per month. Are you a loan shark? Xiao Mao was shocked. The interest rate was too high. Will you take it or not? Can I pay you everything next year? Sure, but you'll have to pay me 260,000 RMB in total. If you were to fail to return the amount, you will be disowned and kicked out of the house. Is that all right? Katerina's eyes were cold and scary. Xiao Mao regretted asking his parents for money now. But in the end, Xiao Mao's mother gave him a harsh sermon and shoved the money to him. Now, Xiao Mao received a harsh real-life quest. He needed to turn the 100,000 RMB into 260,000 within a year, or he would be kicked out of the house. He didn't notice the faint smile of Miao De Mao. Katerina also giggled as she glanced at her husband's company ID. Pangu Universe Incorporation. Miao De Mao was an insider, and this couple had been collecting the tokens as well. He. Xiao Mao walked out of the bank after he had deposited all RMB into his account. Converting RMB to USD, he got $16,000 richer. Combining with his own money, $17,500 glittered in the bank. He swiped his phone and checked the trading site. The packed price dropped to 0.045 per USD, which was cheaper than yesterday. Xiao Mao checked the total tokens in the market. 1 trillion tokens. This was the initial amount of tokens that the game company had minted, but Xiao Mao didn't believe in the number. After all, the real circulated tokens in the market should have surpassed that. A player could earn up to 100 tokens every week, depending on their game progress. 100 million players were still playing the game, and an average of 2,000 million new tokens were minted and released to the market every Sunday. This was why the price sank so quickly. Idiots! The game will not die. Why are they selling the tokens? The liquidity is high, and the market cap is solid. Did they even read the white paper and roadmap? Do your research, fools! Xiao Mao scoffed at the panicking investors who had sold their tokens for quick cash. But since it was none of his business, he ignored them and rushed back home. Later that day, a delivery package arrived at the front door. 5 middle-aged men in a technician company uniform pressed on the doorbell. The VR game capsule had arrived. Xiao Mao's father guided the crew to Xiao Mao's room. As for Xiao Mao, he had moved out a bookshelf and a table to clear a space for the gigantic sci-fi game capsule. The crews installed the modules for hours. After they were done, the room looked cramped as it could only accommodate a bed, a closet, and a giant capsule. Xiao Mao gazed at the small room. Then, he looked at his father. Should I move the bed out and sleep in the capsule? The father scoffed, if you want to have a bad back, go ahead. But the game capsule comes with a built-in auto massage bed. You know what? That is my bed now. You can move out. Before Xiao Mao's father could evict him, Katerina pulled the dad's ear and dragged him to the living room. Once his parents were gone, Xiao Mao rushed into his room and closed the door. He grabbed his laptop and sat on the bed. Then, he browsed the internet and accessed the exchange website once again. This time, he deposited $17,000 to his trade account, leaving only $500 as his pocket money. Without hesitation, Xiao Mao bought packed tokens with all his cash. Amitabha all-in. Cha-ching! 377,500 tokens were added to his account. Now, he had 417,000 tokens in total. Xiao Mao gulped. His hands trembled in excitement. Soon, these 417,000 tokens would be worth $834,000. The profit was right in front of him. Viva transmigration! Viva regression! Xiao Mao celebrated. Shut up! The voice of his father stunned Xiao Mao. He covered his mouth and widened his eyes. Still, he couldn't stop smiling. Chapter 4 Cat Dad's Gotcha Machine. Munya. Naya. Mew. Because of Xiao Mao's loud voice, the cats in the house came to his room. They scratched the door, wanting to get in. Xiao Mao opened the door to let them in. Oh, hey, Munyang. Are you going to play with your sisters here, or are you here to play with me? Munya. The mama cat that Xiao Mao had brought home several months ago gave birth to 3 healthy kittens. Munyang, Xiao Mao's lifelong partner in the previous life, was a bicolor cat with black and white fur, looking like a cow. His iconic meowing voice Munya earned him the name. The sisters of Munyang were also cute. The white cat's name was Nianko, and she had a unique voice as well. As for the last orange cat, she was Mir. She kept mewing as if she was still a kitten even though she was already 5 months old. Xiao Mao lay on the bed, and Munyang immediately jumped onto his chest. Mir struggled to climb the bed while Nianko simply sat on top of Xiao Mao's face. Nianko, I can't breathe. Naya. Nianko wagged her tail and slapped Xiao Mao's head. She needed his mouth, but her nails were out. Ow! Ow! Nianko! That's not how a massage work. Naya! Xiao Mao grabbed Nianko and placed her on the bed. Then, he pointed his butt at her. Revenge! Pooh! Nianko, Munyang, and Mir rushed to his butt and innocently sniffed it. Then, they retched and opened their mouths to breathe like dogs. Xiao Mao laughed and carried them out of his room. However, the task was a bit difficult as the cats kept coming back inside. He gave up and let the gang in. But as soon as Xiao Mao closed the door, Mir scratched it and wanted out. Xiao Mao shook his head and laughed. He opened the door again and let her out, but she simply stared at the carpet outside and walked back into the room. Eyes. My masters are not easy to please. Seeing that the cats were messing with him as usual, Xiao Mao stopped playing with them and turned to the game capsule. It was time to make his final decision. What should he do with the 417,000 tokens? Exchange them for $834,000 next year? Keep it for 3 years and convert it into 8.34 million? Invest everything in the game and become a GameFi pro gamer? Or the neutral way, invest only half of the tokens in the game and sell the other half when the time comes? Xiao Mao took several deep breaths and meditated for a minute. When the meditation was done, he slapped his face twice. Amitabha all in. Xiao Mao created a game account on the website and transfer everything to his game account. Just like that, 417,000 pact was transferred to the game. Xiao Mao closed his laptop and hopped into the gaming capsule. He put the VR helmet on and closed the capsule hatch. But after Xiao Mao closed the glass hatch, he found Munyang snuggling on top of his chest, purring and staring at his face. Munyang, I'm about to play a game. You can't be here. Munya. Do you want to play with me? Munya. Sorry, but you can't. Munya. Munyang kneaded Xiao Mao's chest and closed his eyes. He wanted to sleep like that. Xiao Mao frowned. He wondered if playing the game like this would affect his cat or his data. Thinking of his token investment, Xiao Mao couldn't risk it. He opened the hatch and tossed Munyang out. Munyang's black and white furs got stuck on his shirt, but Xiao Mao didn't care. He closed the hatch and made sure that no cat was in his gaming capsule. Once everything was secured, Xiao Mao pressed the button on his helmet, and the entire capsule lit up. Then, Xiao Mao's consciousness sank into the VR world. Ding! Xiao Mao found himself floating in the void, and the character creation menu appeared. Please create your first game character. You can either purchase an NFT character from the marketplace or roll a gacha for a brand new NFT character. This game had one of Ponzi scheme GameFi's mechanics. Even though a player had purchased a VR game capsule, they could not play the game right away. NFT stood for non-fungible token. In this game, it was a token in the form of a game character, which came with a unique job, race, appearance, and abilities. To play this game, a player needed an NFT character, which came from two sources. A player could either mint a new NFT avatar by rolling a gacha or purchase one from the game's marketplace. In the game marketplace, millions of level 1 NFT characters were on sale. Second-handed high-leveled characters were listed as well. Some came with pre-existing skills, traits, and perks, depending on their rarity. The rarity of NFT characters was categorized in tiers: common, uncommon, rare, super rare, ultra rare, and legendary. As for the gacha, a player had many choices to create their character. Xiao Mao gazed at the gacha shop. There were 6 gacha machines that he could play with to create a new NFT character. The first one was the cheapest. It cost only 1 pack to generate a basic human character with a random basic job with no rare perk. A player could become a warrior, a mage, or an archer. However, these jobs couldn't be evolved in the late game. It was suitable for crypto farmers, who made a living by selling farmed tokens from this game. The second gacha machine was a standard gacha, but the price was reasonable as one roll cost only 10 packs. In this gacha machine, a player had a low chance of acquiring a super rare job, such as Archmage, Templar Knight, or Saint, to start out as their first class job. However, the race was fixed to the human race. The third machine was for advanced players. This gacha only contained fragments of NFT, such as skills, races, and jobs. By combining 2 fragments of skills, a fragment of race, and a fragment of job, a player could create a unique NFT character. Unfortunately, this machine could be expensive. Although it cost only 5 packs to roll once, it required luck and investment before a player could get their desired NFT character. The fourth machine was a standard premium gacha for P2W players. It cost 100 packed per roll, but the rewards that came out would always be a rare, super rare, or ultra rare NFT. Moreover, the race was random, and nobody could tell what would come out as there were over 1 million possible NFT in this machine. The fifth one was seasonable gacha. Like every mobile gacha game, every month, the game company increased the gacha rate for a certain NFT character. No player could get common or uncommon NFT as the gacha guaranteed at least a rare NFT at the minimum. Moreover, there was a guarantee system to pity bad luck players, who couldn't get their hands on the ultra-rare NFT. This gacha was the most popular. Although it cost 200 packs per roll, many new and old players came back to spend their money on this gacha to get an ultra-rare character for their accounts. And lastly, the sixth notorious money sink gacha machine was what Xiao Mao had been aiming for. Xiao Mao remembered it well. In his previous life, every player called it a honey trap for rookie players. In this machine, 1000 common, uncommon, rare, super rare, ultra rare NFT characters, and random fragments were put inside. Each account had one machine, and the gacha machine wasn't shared with other players. Once drawn or rolled, the number of gacha in the machine decreased. Players who played this gacha machine were guaranteed to get every item or NFT that was shown in the list. Players could see what the rewards were, and they had the freedom to renew the rewards if they didn't like them. However, it cost pack to do so. Xiao Mao gazed at the list of NFT in the sixth gacha machine. The rate wasn't as kind as it seemed. 80% was common NFTs. 10% was uncommon. 7% was rare. 2.5% was super rare. And the 0.5% was ultra rare. In short, among the 1000 gacha balls, 5 of them were ultra rare items. Xiao Mao gazed at the price. It cost 300 pact per roll. It was expensive. To empty this gacha machine, Xiao Mao needed to spend 300,000 packs. Xiao Mao gulped as he glanced at the small image, which displayed the monthly legendary add-on fragment. Add-on fragments were something that every player desired. It could be equipped to an NFT character to increase its growth rate, EXP bonus, or status points. This was the attraction of this machine. Legendary NFTs and legendary fragments only appeared in this gacha. Currently, the monthly fragment was a perk by the name Protein from Fish. The equipped NFT character could acquire permanent status points by consuming rare fishes and fish monsters in the game. Xiao Mao nodded in satisfaction. This fragment was what he had been waiting for, as it synergized with the class and race that he had desired. He checked the machine's ultra-rare items next. High Elf Druid, High Human Fragment, Warlord Fragment, Angel Slayer, Annihilator Fragment. Welp, all trash. Refresh. Xiao Mao pressed the gacha reset button to renew the ultra-rare item list. It only cost 100 pact per use. Even though he used the refresh button, he hadn't acquired any NFT yet. It only showed possible rewards in the machine. Man-Eater Fragment, Sea Serpent Race Fragment, Arachne Fragment. Nope. Next. Stripper Swordsman Job Fragment? No. Dual Cultivator Job Fragment? Nope. Women are trouble, so nope. Devil Race? Tempting, but met. I have a better race in mind. Xiao Mao kept refreshing as he only waited for a certain ultra-rare NFT to appear in the sixth machine. After refreshing 200 times, what Xiao Mao had been waiting for had come out. It was a shiny NFT character of a cute half-cat half-octopus. Rarity, ultra-rare. Race, Catopus, evolvable. Job, Slave Master, evolvable. Unique skills, enslavement, slave training. Racial skills, Fish Gourmet, Catnap. Chapter 5 Cat Dad is stuck. Currently, the game only allowed players to use NFT characters to create their in-game avatars and characters. As a result, millions of NFTs got stuck in the marketplace as nobody wanted them. Common, uncommon, and rare NFTs were dirt cheap, while SR and UR NFTs could still be exchanged for 50,000 to 100,000 packs, depending on their skills and job. Xiao Mao opened an additional window and browsed the marketplace. He checked if there was a similar Catopus NFT like this one. 5 results appeared. There were 5 ultra-rare NFT Catopuses with different jobs and skills on sale, which had stuck in the marketplace for months. However, the cheapest one was listed for 75,000 packs. Xiao Mao could easily buy it from the marketplace and start the game. However, he wouldn't get the legendary add-on token, which could be used to boost the game character. It wasn't worth it. Xiao Mao closed the marketplace window and gazed at the portrait of the character. In the past, this race was not popular because it was a monster-like race. Catopus was a half-cat half-octopus creature. It had the head and a tail of a cat, but there was no torso or body. Instead, octopus tentacles extended below the cat's head and acted as its legs. It looked like something from Pokémon or Digimon series. The size was a problem. Its head was almost as big as a human's head. With short and cute tentacles, it was too small. However, Xiao Mao was eager to play this character. He was excited that this NFT finally appeared. Alright. Time to empty my pocket and gacha machine. Xiao Mao began inserting his packed coins into the machine. As he had aimed to get the legendary fragment reward, he used 300,000 packs at once. 300,000 packs were spent before Xiao Mao could even play the game. This didn't include the tokens that he had used to refresh the gacha list. Xiao Mao thought of the opening day of the game. In the game community forums, people complained that this game was pay-to-win heavy. At that time, packs price was $5 per token. 300,000 packs were $1.5 million. Anyone who aimed for a legendary add-on spent $1.5 million for it. What about Xiao Mao? He smirked. He only spent a little over $20,000, and he still had 97,000 packs remaining to use in-game. It was still a lot of money. It was risky and stupid. However, Xiao Mao was confident in his decision. While Xiao Mao was lost in thought, 1,000 gacha balls came out of the machine. The game revealed all digital assets that Xiao Mao received right away. Not only did he get the ultra-rare Catapus NFT character, but he also got 999 other goodies. 800 common NFT characters. 100 uncommon NFT characters. 45 rare NFT characters. 25 rare NFT fragments. 15 super rare NFT characters. 10 super rare NFT fragments. 1 ultra rare NFT character. 3 ultra rare NFT fragments. Those were the additional assets that Xiao Mao could either use in-game or sell in the marketplace to get some of his money back. Ding! The unique skill appeared in Xiao Mao's NFT inventory. He immediately used it on the Catapus NFT. The legendary fragment disappeared, and the Catapus NFT changed. Its status was updated. Rarity, ultra rare. Race, Catapus, evolvable. Job, Slave Master, evolvable. Unique skills, enslavement, slave training. Racial skills, fish gourmet, catnap. Add-on skill, protein from fish. The character was good to go. Xiao Mao allocated the NFT as his primary character and confirmed. The portrait of the Catapus was zoomed in. Now, Xiao Mao could customize its appearance and look. 1 hour later, Xiao Mao completed the adjustment. He made the character look like Munya. The cow-like Catapus looked cute from his perspective. The tentacles were chubby, and its head was large enough for future functions. Xiao Mao pressed confirm and moved on to the next phase. Yes. Whoosh. As soon as Xiao Mao pressed yes, his consciousness faded for a few seconds. When he came back to his senses, he discovered himself inside the Catapus body in a blank square room. It felt odd controlling 8 tentacles in his tail. Also, the vision range was wider and further than usual. Xiao Mao could even differentiate scent in the air and know where it came from. His cat ears perked and twitched. He tried to move them around, and it was a fun experience. Munya. Happy, Xiao Mao mimicked Munyang's voice. His small voice sounded exactly like the cat. Ding! Welcome to Pangu Online 2. Before we can let you start the game, we wish to let you get familiarized with the game character. Xiao Mao nodded and paid attention to the tutorial session. He needed it as it might take time to adjust to the physique of a monster. Playing Vermo was different than playing a PC game. All 5 senses of Xiao Mao were linked to the game character, and he needed to operate the game avatar like his real body. Managing 1 tail and 8 tentacles instead of having 2 arms and 2 legs was difficult. Even though Xiao Mao came from the future, he could not adapt to this feeling right away. After all, in his previous life, he played this game as a human. Xiao Mao thought of the day he started playing the game. At that time, the game was 5 years old, and the price of packs was already $25. Xiao Mao only used a basic 1-packed NFT character to play as a crypto miner, who only played to make money from cryptocurrency. But now, he started early when the token's price was cheap. He was on a better starting line. Whoosh! A colorful track field appeared inside the giant square room. 1. Walk on the field for 10 minutes. 2. Run back and forth between the marked locations 3 times. 3. Jump as high as possible 5 times. Xiao Mao spent 3 hours getting through the movement tutorial. He toddled and crawled like a baby at first. But now, his 8 tentacles moved freely, and he could dash around the room like an athlete. Ding! Xiao Mao thought for a moment. Then, he had an idea. Munya. The name has been taken by either a player or an NPC. Please choose another name. Ah, bummer. I like that name. How about Mao Meow Meow? The name has been taken by either a player or an NPC. Please choose another name. What? That is my ideal in-game name. Had eyes. Xiao Mao pondered for a while. But in the end, he decided to use his real name as the in-game name. Xiao Mao. Nobody would have realized that his name was real anyway. After all, it could be translated as a kitten if someone mispronounced it. Yes. Everything in the tutorial room vanished. Now, Xiao Mao was floating in space. Multiple habitable planets appeared for Xiao Mao to choose from. Each of them had a different background, race, and culture. However, the majority of the worlds were disabled as the game hadn't unlocked them yet. There were only 3 planets to start out. But in the future patches, more worlds would be accessible. The first planet was Fantasy Earth. There was no science there as everybody relied on mana, magic, and sorcery as their mainstream technology. Quests were plenty, and the game leveling system was easy to understand. The second planet was a Wuxia world. Cultivators, monster beasts, and the locals there absorbed natural chi to get stronger. The power scale was grand and complex, but no player could acquire EXP by killing monsters. It was designed for old players, who sought immortality in real life by cultivating in the game. The last planet was a hardcore one. It was a planet with mixed civilizations, which was popular among non-crypto farmers. 100 races and tribesmen occupied a different territory, and no one had an advantage over the others. Cultivators and magicians mingled while powerful drakes and sacred beasts formed their civilizations. As a result, war broke out everywhere, and crypto farmers found it hard to play the game in peace. Only kingdom-building lovers and combat maniacs flocked here, and life skill players were rare. These planets were like a different server or a game mode. Xiao Mao could choose to be in a fantasy world, a cultivation world, or a chaotic world with combined cultures. The first world is for beginners. The second one is for genetic evolution and immortality, but the last world. Xiao Mao stopped thinking as he saw the locked key icon on the first 2 worlds. There was also a small note under both the fantasy world and the cultivation world. The game only allowed humanoid races to choose their home world. As for monster races, they were forced to pick the third world. Xiao Mao shrugged. Had the game allowed him to choose, he would have chosen the third world anyway. After all, this world's resources and quests were abundant. Moreover, it was related to future updates. Xiao Mao needed to be in this world before that day to get the best benefits. After picking the third world, everything vanished. Xiao Mao could faintly hear the humming sound of his capsule, which had begun scanning Xiao Mao's real body. Error. Unable to recognize the player's DNA. Xiao Mao frowned again. What DNA? What bloodline? The game system AI didn't answer. The scenery froze as if the game had glitched. This error never happened in his previous life. There was no report that the game capsule had scanned a player's DNA. Xiao Mao had a bad feeling about this. He summoned the game menu and tried to log out. Unfortunately, the logout button was disabled. Oh! He suddenly thought of several famous novels, which the MCS of the stories got stuck in a game. Xiao Mao didn't want to be in here as he wasn't a NEET, a college student, or a failure of a human in society. He had a warm family and cats at home. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Xiao Mao tried, the game didn't respond. How do I get out of the game? Xiao Mao thought of a way to move his real body and manually remove the helmet and open the capsule hatch. However, he couldn't feel his real body anymore. Crap! Are you serious? He got stuck in the loading screen. Xiao Mao's bedroom. Sitting on top of the game capsule was the bicolor cat, Munya. He gazed at his human, who had been sleeping inside the capsule. He licked his paw and looked at Xiao Mao's shirt, where countless black and white fur of Munya got stuck there. He tilted his head and faintly smiled. Munya. Miao De Mao's bedroom. Xiao Mao's father hadn't slept yet. He sat at his working desk, working on something on his computer. He glanced at the clock. It was 1 a.m. Miao De Mao chuckled as he remembered something. I hope he likes the custom-made capsule. Chapter 6 Cat Dad is popular. Somebody help me. Xiao Mao inwardly cried as he struggled to get out of the game. After getting stuck in the game for 10 minutes, everything started moving again. Ding! Finally! Everything brightened as if Xiao Mao was blinded by a flashbang grenade. When he could see things again, he found himself inside a shrine. The shrine was deserted. Yet, many new players were spawned in here. Xiao Mao looked up and saw a statue of a barbarian man with a large axe. He only wore pieces of clothes to cover his crotch, but his massive refined muscle, messy full beard, and long dark hair looked impressive. This was the statue of Pangu, the supreme god of this game world and the main protagonist of the franchise. Xiao Mao had seen the trailer of the game. It was a scene, where Pangu fought against 3,000 giant monsters and their leader, the Chaos Seraphim, who looked like archangels from Diablo series. He narrowed his eyes as he remembered the storyline quests and the progress of the game in the later years. Right now, no main story quest had been triggered. The first one would come out a month from now, and it could only be triggered after a certain global event. Xiao Mao looked around. Within just a minute, 5 players were spawned here, including him. Obviously, there will be new players. The NFTs and gacha are cheap right now. Non-crypto farmers are hopping in. He left the shrine and found himself in a forest, near a shore town. As Xiao Mao walked out with his small tentacle legs, he attracted glances from other newbie players. Oh, hey! What kind of pouring is this? He's cute. Isn't that a UR character? He looks weird. It's expensive though. The cheapest one is 75,000 packs. Nah, it's quite cheap right now. How much is a pact? 4 or 5 cents. He must have bought it. That's still $3,750, dude. It's still expensive. At least, it's cheaper than a few months ago. I pity those rich idiots. Ha 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 ha. My stomach hurts just to think about those insane rich gamers. Who invests in UR character anyway? Xiao Mao eavesdropped on the conversation. He grinned and waddled toward the nearest town. But as Xiao Mao was walking with his tiny legs, someone grabbed him from behind. OMG, he's so cute. A female player lifted him up and hugged him. Xiao Mao had goosebumps. He bellowed and waved his tentacles, "Let me down, Munya." He widened his eyes as he couldn't believe what he had spoken. He accidentally ended his sentence with Munya. The Munya part came out automatically. Xiao Mao didn't mean to mimic Munyang's meowing voice. Ha ha ha. Even your name is Xiao Mao. Are you role-playing? Munya. Unhand me, Munya. Xiao Mao wiggled his tentacle legs to free himself. Unfortunately, a level 1 character was too weak to resist an old player's strength. The woman was a level 10 character, who came here for personal business and met Xiao Mao by chance. Xiao Mao pouted and checked his status menu to allocate his initial status points. A window that only Xiao Mao could see appeared. Name, Xiao Mao. Rarity, ultra rare. Race, Catopus, evolvable. Job, slave master, evolvable. Unique skills, enslavement, slave training. Racial skills, fish gourmet, catnap. Add-on skill, protein from fish. Level, 1. EXP, 0/100,000. Packed weekly income, 0/100. EXP 0/100,000. Status attributes: STR 1, Dex 1, AGI 1, VIT 1, Int 1, WIS 1. Allocable status points 25. Spiritual roots: Fire 1, Water 1, Wind 1, Metal 1, Wood 1, Lightning 1, Darkness 1, Light 1. Allocable status points 25. Enslavement active, upgradable 100 MP. Brand a slave seal to any regular monster or NPC that is critically injured. They will be forced to follow your every instruction. Slave training passive, mastery 0%. When you are near your slaves will gain mastery and EXP faster than usual. Current effects: 1% increase to EXP gain and 1% speed increase in mastery. Fish gourmet passive, mastery 0%. You can eat as many fishes as you want even though your satiety bar is full. Every fish you eat may give you random effects, such as restoring your HP or increasing your status attributes temporarily. Current limit: 500 fish per day. Current effects: restore 1 HP or temporarily increase a random status attribute by 0.5 per fish you eat. Effects can stack. Catnap passive, mastery 0%. After you take a short nap, you will gain Catnap Blessing, which increases your max HP and MP temporarily. Current effects: increase your max HP and MP by 10% for 60 minutes. Protein from fish passive, mastery 0%. Your status attributes permanently increases whenever you eat rare fishes or rare fish monsters. Current effect: increase any status attribute by 1 per fish. Max 50 points per attribute. Bloodline passive, mastery max. Munya 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 Munya. Munya 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 Munya. Xiao Mao was about to allocate his status attributes to strength to break free from the player, but he forgot everything when he saw the new mysterious skill. He was astonished. His round eyes and mouth opened wide. What is this Munya language? He didn't remember having this skill on his NFT character. In shock, Xiao Mao blurted out in a cat voice. Munya, Munya. Ha ha ha. He's so cute. I want to take him home. The girl carried Xiao Mao around and ran toward the town. He was being abducted. But Xiao Mao was in a daze that he forgot about his situation. Soon, the female player brought Xiao Mao to her friends, who had been checking the auction marketplace menu in the public market. Look, look! I found a catapus player. The party of middle-aged warriors frowned and stared at the girl. Why are you bullying a newbie? Let him go. Look at him. He's confused. But I love this avatar. His avatar. This is his NFT, not yours. He's also a player like us, so you can't take him everywhere. That's kidnapping. The muscular warrior of the party gave the girl a sermon. Then, she let go of Xiao Mao. The party leader gave Xiao Mao a wry smile. I'm so sorry about my colleague's behavior. Please don't mind her. Xiao Mao came back to his sense. He dryly laughed. Oh, okay, Munya. I don't mind, Munya. Are you new, or is this your alt avatar? Alt was a jargon of gamers. It referred to secondary characters that the players used for specific purposes, such as farming, crafting, storing items, transporting, or trading. Nah, this is my main, Munya. The party leader chuckled. You must be rich for using that character. How much does it cost? Xiao Mao thought of something and smirked. 300 pact, Munya. What? First gotcha roll, Munya. Is this NFT good, Munya? The entire party had a blank expression. This stupid cat just flexed them. At first, the middle-aged man wanted to help this newbie by providing some second-handed equipment. But now, he changed his mind. Good for you. Well, good luck, Mr. Kitty Cat. Thanks for the help, Munya. Xiao Mao hopped away from the party. He looked for a secluded place so that he could take a breather. But as Xiao Mao wandered in the newbie town, NPCs and players kept looking at him as if they had seen a cute mascot. Some of them petted Xiao Mao while several female players took screenshots with him. For 10 minutes, Xiao Mao was never left alone. At this point, Xiao Mao had enough. He opened the game menu and set up a trading stall. An announcement signboard appeared on top of Xiao Mao's head. We'll hug you for gold coins and packs. Oh! Suddenly, more players surrounded Xiao Mao. Before he could even set a price for his service, a female player already opened a trade menu and gifted Xiao Mao 10 gold coins. In this game, gold coins were the primary currency to trade between players and NPC shops. As for packs, they were premium currency, which could be used to purchase NFT characters or items from Cash Shop. On another note, 1 million gold coins could be exchanged for one pact. Gamers could farm cryptocurrency by gathering enough gold coins in-game. Currently, Xiao Mao started with 0 gold coins. He had no choice but to accept. The female elf archer immediately carried Xiao Mao into a hug. Then, she took several screenshots and recorded a video. Look, look! I found a Catapus player. Excuse me, can you speak something? Xiao Mao's expression was blank, but he played along. However, he inwardly cursed her. Munya. Thought, begone. See? Isn't he cute? Munya, Munya. Unhand me, you little bitch. Ah, he's so fluffy, the girl kissed Xiao Mao's head. Munya. Munya Munya. My fur. My precious smooth and silky fur. Ah ha 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 ha. Munya, kill me, dot. For a whole hour, Xiao Mao got stuck in the crowd. Fortunately, the excitement died down after all cat lovers got their screenshots. They dispersed to play the game at their own pace. Xiao Mao's was in a mess. He looked like a stray cat with disheveled fur, and he smelled like puke because of other players' dirty hands. Those players never washed their hands as they never treated the game like their real bodies. This was the reason why Xiao Mao hated being touched. In exchange for the trouble, Xiao Mao got 1,000 gold coins as starting cash. It was a small amount, but averagely, level 1 to 5 players could get about 10 to 20 gold coins per day of pure grinding without doing quests. Therefore, it was a good amount for a new player to start out. In his game inventory, he had 5 cans of cat food. He didn't know when he got it. I made it, Munya. Xiao Mao staggered toward an inn. He was mentally exhausted, and he wanted to take a bath and log out now. He entered the inn. Fortunately, the door didn't have a doorknob, so he could freely open it. As soon as Xiao Mao entered, the inn owner greeted him while he was tending the counter bar. Welcome. Oh, my. What a cute guest. Ding. Suddenly, a golden question mark appeared on top of the inn owner NPC's head. A golden question mark indicated a quest. It was only visible to players who had met the conditions to trigger it. Xiao Mao suddenly regained his mental strength. He hopped on the counter bar. I would like to book a room, Munya. Also, is there I can do to help you? You look troubled, Munya. The NPC nodded. Actually, merchants haven't visited us lately, and we are lacking some food ingredients. You see, our town is famous for seafood and seaweed dishes, but we run out of seaweed. Dear customer, if it isn't too much, may I ask you for a favor? Since you're from the Catapus tribe, I would like to ask you to gather some message seaweed for me. I need 100 pieces of message seaweed. In exchange for the trouble, you can rest in my inn for free, and I'll give you something in return. Ding! Chapter 7 Cat Dad Go Swimming. Personal Quest, Pang Pang's Trouble. The inn owner, Pang Pang, wishes to restock his ingredient supply, but the merchants that always delivered the food ingredients are quite late. Thus, Pang Pang plans to collect some raw ingredients from nature while he waits for the merchant. But there is a problem. Message seaweed that Pang Pang needs can only be harvested from certain seaweed monsters, nephew seaweed and niece seaweed. Kill the seaweed monsters and collect 100 pieces of message seaweed. Then, deliver them to Pang Pang to complete the quest. Quest reward, Pang Pang's respect, 10 Contribution Express Message Seaweed Salad Recipe. Xiao Mao was delighted. Even though the NPC wouldn't give him gold coins, the recipe would be extremely useful. In this game, satiety existed. Players could get debuff or abnormal status effects if they didn't eat anything for a day. If players persisted and ignored the hunger bar, the abnormal status effects would be more severe, and it might even decrease status attributes permanently. On the other hand, if players diligently ate good food and never skipped a meal, they had a low chance of acquiring free allocable status points after every meal. Moreover, exceptional food could even increase spiritual root points upon consumption. Thus, food recipes were treated the same way as premium items. If the food could potentially increase status points, the recipe could be sold for a lot of money. And if players had a chef or a cook NFT, they could turn their game characters into a money printer as the food could be sold for a lot of gold coins. Xiao Mao immediately accepted the task. I'll do it, Munya. Where can I find the message seaweed, Munya? Ding! Pang Pang brightly smiled. The nephew and niece seaweeds live in the sea near the stone cliff to the northeast of here. You might have to dive and fight underwater. I see, Munya. The first quest forced him to fight underwater right away, but he didn't mind. The underwater battle was his race's strongest point. In the future, underwater battles, naval warfare, and the underwater city would be one of the main focuses in the game after the land update. Sea explorations, pirates, and sea monsters would run rampant, and some story quests happened in the middle of the ocean. Because Xiao Mao thought of this, he picked this race as the main character. For now, this quest would be a light warm-up for the future to come. Xiao Mao took a quick bath and left the inn right away. He rushed toward the local market to gear himself with his pocket money. As soon as Xiao Mao entered a crowded area, he got swarmed by girls and cat lovers. Once again, his fur was ravished by the dirty hands of random players. And once again, the number of cat food in his inventory increased. He was confused about how it appeared there. Make way, Munya. Let me shop, Munya. Xiao Mao pushed through the crowd and reached a stationary local NPC in a red imperial uniform, who had been sitting on a desk next to a huge signboard public marketplace. Seeing Xiao Mao approach him, the NPC looked up. What can I do for you, Mr. Cat? I need to purchase things, Munya. Is there any good potion for sale, Munya? A game shopping menu appeared before Xiao Mao. It was the system menu of the public marketplace. Unlike the NFT marketplace, this version of the marketplace allowed players to deposit their in-game items there to sell to other players for gold coins. At the same time, players could buy items from other players here. Every player could search for specific items, and the market system would display all related items on sale to that player. Of course, they could sort the price to see which one with the same quality was the cheapest. Xiao Mao pondered for a moment, trying to recollect the memory in his previous life. Seaweed monster. It should be a plant-based monster in the sea. I don't need anything fancy, but I will definitely need a lot of those since weapon durability will decrease so fast. Xiao Mao input a few keywords in there and began buying items in the market. Newbie healing potion, requirement level 1 to 10. Effect, heal 20 HP. Price, 5 gold coins. Copper pruning scissors, requirement, none. ATK, 3. Durability, 20/20ths. The best tool for gardeners. You can use it as a temporary weapon in case of an emergency. Price, 2 gold coins. Xiao Mao checked his available inventory slots. He calculated how many spears he needed for a long grinding. New NFT characters started out with only 10 inventory slots. If a player needed extra rooms, they had to buy inventory slot expansion items, using their packs. The max item slots that an NFT character could have was 100. Xiao Mao opened another menu. He pressed the cash shop button to look for inventory expansion items. Fortunately, there was a promotion. A package of 10 inventory slots was being sold for 700 packs. Xiao Mao checked the normal price. It cost 100 pack to expand one extra slot. With the discount, Xiao Mao could save some money. He smiled and added 9 packages to the shopping cart. Then, he checked out. Just like that, he spent 6,300 packs to expand his character's inventory slots to the maximum. After his inventory slots were expanded, he began purchasing items right away. 90 copper pruning scissors. 150 newbie healing potions. Each pair of scissors took 1 slot while the potions were stacked in 1 slot. Just like that, 93 slots were occupied. Xiao Mao glanced at the 2 slots, which stored several cans and packages of cat food. His pupils became dull when he looked at them. Those freaking disgusting dirty human. But I'll take them anyway. Food is food. He hadn't realized it yet. As Xiao Mao experienced the traumas of a cat, he began to treat other players as human instead of humans. Then, he glanced at his HP bar. It showed as 10/10 HP. The amount was pathetic as Xiao Mao hadn't allocated his status points yet. With only 1 VIT, he only had 10 HP. However, Xiao Mao chose not to allocate his status points at the moment for the best benefit. He knew an exploit, and he would use it to the fullest. After getting everything he needed, Xiao Mao rushed toward the beach near the town. As Xiao Mao ran with his 8 tentacles, many curious players followed him, recording his movements and taking screenshots. Yeah! So cute! Let's tame that catapus! Idiot! That's a player! Ugh, I really want one as a pet! None of them saw Xiao Mao's expression. His cold eyes and dark expression belonged to an angry Yakuza. Disgusting human! He jumped into the sea. As soon as Xiao Mao jumped into the sea, the players stopped chasing after him. After all, they could not breathe underwater. After getting rid of the nuisance, Xiao Mao followed the clues given by Pang Pang. The stone cliff was only a kilometer toward the northeast of the beach town. There was no HUD or mini-map. When traveling, every player needed to use their skills and knowledge to get to their destination. Xiao Mao tried to breathe underwater. Then, he discovered that he had gills under his head. Below his head was the octopus mouth and gills. He could also eat things with the lower mouth. Xiao Mao felt weird when he swallowed seawater into his lower mouth. He felt like he drank water with his butthole. Because of the stimulation, he subconsciously farted. Pooh! Black ink came out instead of bubbles. Secondly, his satiety bar decreased by 10%. Whoops! I forgot. I'll keep that in mind. Performing strange actions or using a racial ability decreased the satiety bar. Standing still wouldn't consume anything. But if Xiao Mao moved around or did something, the satiety bar would gradually decrease. Xiao Mao returned to the water surface. He opened a package of cat food and ate all of its content. Then, his satiety returned to full, and he continued traveling in the sea. Xiao Mao looked ahead. Despite being submerged in the sea, he could see everything as if he was in a closed-door swimming pool wearing a swimming goggle. It was a new experience. He didn't get to play around like this in his previous life. How nice and calm. I like diving now. The waves on the surface of the sea bobbed up and down. Xiao Mao was annoyed that the sea waves pushed him back to the shore, so he quickly got back in the water and headed northeast. After swimming for an hour, he came to a coral reef area, next to a stone cliff. The current was high and hard. Xiao Mao had a hard time swimming there with his 1 STR and 1 Dex. As Xiao Mao continued to swim toward the stone cliff that Pang Pang had told him, he ran into a small fish. As Xiao Mao got close, red HP bars appeared on top of those fishes. Glutton Beta, level 7. This fish didn't attack him, but it stared at him as if it was looking at a bigger fish. Fortunately, the Glutton Beta turned around and swam away. Xiao Mao let out a sigh of relief that he didn't have to fight. He dove deeper and got closer to the cliff. Then, finally, he found his quest monsters right below the cliff in the sea. Niece and nephew seaweeds were actually underwater plants, but they wobbled and chased after nearby small fishes to catch them. Nephew seaweed, level 2. Niece seaweed, level 2. There you are, Munya. Xiao Mao brought out copper pruning scissors right away. He held it with his 2 front tentacles. He approached the seaweed and snipped them. Snip. 10 damage. Half of the seaweed stalk was cut, but it hadn't died yet. Its HP bar was half depleted. The seaweed wobbled and coiled around Xiao Mao's scissors. Ding! Figured, Munya. Xiao Mao had foreseen this. These seaweeds never proactively attacked people or swimmers, but they always retaliated against nearest assailants and decreased their equipment durability. Snip! With another snip, the stalk was cut, and the seaweed's HP reached 0. The destroyed seaweed vanished. Then, new items appeared in Xiao Mao's game inventory. This was the game's mechanic. Item drops from monsters were always directly sent to players' inventories. But strangely, several items appeared in front of Xiao Mao and floated along with the water current. This phenomenon only happened when there was no room in the player's inventory to receive the auto-loot rewards. Ding! Munya. Xiao Mao frowned. He remembered that he had left 7 slots open after he bought all the items. He took a pair of scissors out, so there should be 8 empty slots. Even if the regular mob dropped some items, there shouldn't be that many. One monster usually had a common drop, a quest drop, a rare drop, and a rare equipment drop. If a player was lucky, they could get a unique drop once every 1000 kills. Therefore, Xiao Mao thought those stackable items shouldn't fill up his 7 inventory slots at once after 1 kill. Xiao Mao swam away from the monster den and looked at his inventory. How is this possible, Munya? Chapter 8 Cat Dad's game character is perfectly balanced. Smelly Seaweed X1. Stalk of Seaweed X1. Those 2 items were the common trash items from a monster, which could be sold to NPC for scrap money. However, the following items were something else. Message Seaweed X1. Premium Message Package X1. Niece Seaweed Card X1. Message Seasoned Baby AU X1. Common Grade Seaweed Ring X1. Common Grade Seaweed Necklace X1. There were too many items. Aside from the quest item, aka Message Seaweed, several items had colorful names, which indicated their rarity. Premium Message was a green named Uncommon Japtum, which was a standard ingredient for food. Common Grade Seaweed Ring was self-explanatory. It was a piece of white named equipment that rarely dropped from a monster. Niece Seaweed Card had a golden name as it was rarer than equipment and uncommon ingredient. Every monster could potentially give players a card, which could be used to craft an add-on skill, add-on perk, or add-on traits to NFT characters or items. The card was also a collectible item that card collectors desired. In the game menu, there was a monster encyclopedia book, which Xiao Mao could put a card in there. If he added the card to the book, he could view its detail, such as HP, MP, status attributes, weaknesses, immunity, and droppable items. The last one, Message Seasoned Baby AU, was another food ingredient, but its name was blue. Its value was more than the white named and green named items. Xiao Mao gazed at the floating seaweed underwear, which had been floating on the sea surface. Then, he looked at the log text. Aside from these 8 items, 4 items were ejected from his inventory as there was no place to store them. Common grade seaweed panties X1. Common grade seaweed brief X1. Common grade thong X1. Common grade seaweed bracelet X1. They were other equipment drops. Xiao Mao looked at the floating items in a daze. He thought that he got too lucky. He ignored the floating underwear and checked the ring in his inventory. It didn't give any stats. It was just a decoration item, but they were edible as they were made from seaweed. Who would eat their used underwear anyway? WTF game. Xiao Mao scoffed and discarded the item. The seaweed ring floated to the surface of the sea. Then, Xiao Mao checked the information of the blue named fish. He smirked. Message seasoned baby Au. This baby Au fish has been captured and swallowed by Ni seaweed plant. Fortunately, it was not digested yet, and it was coated with natural message traits of the Ni seaweed. Its sweetness and saltiness from message make it a favorite snack and preferable food ingredient. Item type: food ingredient, food. Effect: increase satiety by 30. Asterisk protein from fish, permanently increase VIT by 1. The general information of the blue named fish didn't interest Xiao Mao, but the red text below the item description excited him. Protein from fish's passive skill effect began to show its true potential. It was the add-ons effect that Xiao Mao had equipped on his NFT character. Only characters with the legendary add-on could see and use this effect. It was worth 300,000 packs for a reason. It was a broken pay-to-win passive skill. I thought I had to kill 100 of them to get one blue named fish. But wow! I got one on the first try. Xiao Mao took the fish out of his inventory and shoved it in his mouth. It was chewy, sweet, and mushy. Yet, it was delicious. Ding! Xiao Mao grinned as he checked his HP gauge. It was now 10/20. 1 point of VIT increased his max HP by 10. In addition, the VIT status affected his defense status value. With 1 VIT, his defense was meagerly 0.5 points. But with 2 VITs, his defense value was 1. The number didn't look impressive. However, if he could raise it to the limit that the legendary add-on skill permitted, he would have 50 VITs and 25 def at level 1. 50 status points were equal to 10 levels. This game was so balanced that Xiao Mao wanted to laugh. Getting excited, he went back to the bottom of the sea to cut down more seaweed. This time, he got closer to the nephew seaweed. Then, he cut it in half within 2 snips. Ding! Each kill, the durability of his scissors decreased by 1. At this rate, Xiao Mao could only kill 20 of them before the weapon broke. Again, Xiao Mao had foreseen this. He bought 90 scissors for this purpose. However, before Xiao Mao could switch to the next target, he was surprised by another series of notifications, and more underwear appeared. Xiao Mao had a mixed feeling about this. He rechecked his inventory once more. Wow, Munya! All stackable items filled his inventory slots again. The number of common items, such as smelly seaweed, stock of seaweed, message seaweed, and premium message, was increased by 1. However, this time, 2 new items appeared and occupied the remaining slots. Nephew seaweed card X1. Message seasoned baby mackerel X1. He hit a jackpot again. But Xiao Mao started to worry. He got too lucky that it was unnatural. It smelled like a glitch or a bug in the system. As a good guy as he was, Xiao Mao opened the game menu. He navigated to the help option and was about to choose report bugs. But then, Xiao Mao stopped and pulled his tentacles away. He recalled that he had an odd racial skill, which was incomprehensible. Bloodline passive, Mastery Max. Munya 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 Munya. Munya 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 Munya. Xiao Mao had a theory in his mind. He guessed that the skill might be the cause. To test his theory, he cut down another nephew seaweed. Snib. After the seaweed disappeared, underwear and equipment were ejected from Xiao Mao's inventory again. Stackable seaweeds, quest items, mackerel, and cards were increased by 1. That confirmed it. OMG, Munya. Xiao Mao's pupils expanded. His breathing rate and heart rate spiked, and he almost fainted. This might be an OP passive skill. Could this skill's effect be a 100% drop rate? Would every monster he killed explode everything that they could drop? It couldn't be possible, right? It was an online game. But since he got this bug by chance, it would have been a shame had he never exploited it. Nice guys earned respect, but bad guys earned riches. Nya ha ha ha, Munya. Xiao Mao suddenly had an idea. He looked at the seasoned baby mackerel. Message: seasoned baby mackerel. This baby mackerel has been captured and swallowed by nephew seaweed plant. Fortunately, it was not digested yet, and it was coated with natural message traits of the nephew seaweed. Because of its extreme saltiness, many chefs often used them to make salty sauces. Item type: food ingredient. Asterisk: protein from fish, permanently increase STR by 1. Since he had 2 of them, Xiao Mao ate them all at once, increasing his strength by 2 points. As Xiao Mao only had 2 inventory slots left, he thought of something. He charged toward the seaweeds and cut everything in frenzy. Snib! Snib! More items exploded from the dead seaweed. Underwear filled the surface of the sea while stackable items were collected to Xiao Mao's inventory. Xiao Mao threw away unstackable equipment and kept only cards and stackable items. After killing 18 seaweeds, the copper pruning scissors broke. Xiao Mao discarded it. Then, he resumed hunting these docile plants. Xiao Mao lost the track of time. He forgot how many seaweeds he cut down, but 50 of his scissors were broken as they ran out of durability. Suddenly, the game prompted him with a notification. Elite monsters' emergence was a common thing in this game. Every time a number of local monsters were killed to some extent, an elite monster and its subordinates would be spawned, and they would protect the endangered monsters for a few hours. Killing the newly spawned elite monsters would bless the hunters with rare equipment. Sometimes, the most valuable set gears with unique enhancement appeared. In short, these elite monsters were like a walking treasure trove. Xiao Mao came back to his senses. He swam away from the seaweed spawning point to avoid the aggro range. Suddenly, a massive vine shot out from the bottom of the coral reef. It wiggled like a snake and let out a weird sound in a peculiar accent. Fwio! Uncle Seaweed, Elite, Level 5. Not only did the massive vine appear, but 1,000 seaweeds manifested. The previously cut down seaweeds were also respawned to repopulate the monster field. Xiao Mao gazed at the large seaweed plant, which was at least 5 meters tall. Then, he looked at his weapon. The stalk was too big for the small pruning scissors to cut. He needed a bigger cutting tool, such as heavy-duty head shears or something similar. Ding! Xiao Mao had been gaming for hours and forgot about real-world time. He had 30 minutes left to play the game before he needed to log out and go to school. Munya, I hate school now. As Xiao Mao didn't have enough time to travel back to town and buy the right weapon, he thought of a way to hunt the elite monster while he gazed at his inventory. Oh, right! I haven't eaten more fishes after that. Xiao Mao smirked as he slowly brought out mackerel and au fishes from his inventory. Then, he shoved everything down his mouth. Nom nom, Munya. Ding! Xiao Mao ate enough fish to increase his raw STR and VIT to the limit of his add-on skill. He laughed and looked at his HP gauge. 500/500 HP. My game character is perfectly balanced, Munya. Level 1. EXP 2000/100,000. Status attributes. STR, 50. Dex, 1. AGI, 1. VIT, 50. Int, 1. WIS, 1. Allocable status points, 25. Combat status. ATK, 25 plus 2. Def, 25. HP, 500/500. MP, 10/10. Chapter 9 Cat Dad vs Elite Monster. Xiao Mao checked his add-on skill mastery to see the progress. Protein from fish, passive, mastery 1.67%. Your status attributes permanently increases whenever you eat rare fishes or rare fish monsters. Current effect: increase any status attribute by 1 per fish. Max 50 points per attribute. After eating 100 rare fishes, the mastery only increased by 1.67%. It would take a while before it could reach the 10% threshold, which would upgrade the skill effect. After reaching 10%, the max bonus cap would be increased from 50 per attribute to 60. At 20%, the status limit would become 70 and so on until 100 at 50% mastery. But at 60% mastery, the increment was 20 instead of 10. Thus, Xiao Mao could potentially boost all his status attributes to 120. However, at 100% mastery, the limit would become 200 per attribute. Moreover, a new skill would be derived from protein from fish. To get to that point, Xiao Mao had to keep eating rare fish even though it wouldn't increase his status attribute anymore. He closed the menu and looked at the elite monster. 500 HP, 27 ATK, and 25 Def. Here I go, Munya. Xiao Mao charged toward Uncle Seaweed, and the latter noticed his intention. Fwio! The massive vine lashed at Xiao Mao's face as if it slapped him. Pa! 1 damage. It tickled Xiao Mao. He smirked at the vine and the thousands of seaweeds to mock them. Pathetic, Munya. Yay! Pa pa! As the vine's speed surpassed Xiao Mao's 1 AGI and 1 Dex, it kept slapping him while Xiao Mao struggled to swim toward the vine's main body. After receiving 100 slaps, Xiao Mao reached the Uncle Seaweed. His small chubby tentacles latched onto it while he drank a few bottles of potions to recover some of his HP. Xiao Mao brought out pruning scissors and began cutting them. Snib! 9 damage. Xiao Mao couldn't cut it properly as the pruning scissors were too small for a big vine. It only caused grazed damage. However, at this range, Xiao Mao could repeat his action easily. Snib! Snib! 9 damage. 9 damage. Uncle Seaweed wiggled as it couldn't find the right angle to attack. However, Nephew Seaweed and Niece Seaweed slowly reached for Xiao Mao and coiled around him. They began melting him with their green soft trunk. 1 damage. 1 damage. The battle of attrition underwater was slow, but small numbers kept flashing near Xiao Mao and Uncle Seaweed. Ding! Xiao Mao tossed the zero durability scissors away and brought out a new one. He carefully aimed and snipped the Uncle Seaweed's vine once more. This time, he hit the sweet spot. Critical damage. A big number 94 appeared, and the HP bar of Uncle Seaweed was decreased by half. The damage was not something that a level 1 character without a good weapon could produce. Yay! The vine coiled around Xiao Mao and squeezed him like a snake. Then, several 1 numbers floated above Xiao Mao's head. Xiao Mao ignored the damages. He gently and patiently controlled his scissors and cut the same area. Critical damage. Critical damage. Within 2 snips, the vine was torn in half, and Uncle Seaweed's HP bar was depleted. Hiya! W. An elite monster might be strong, but it was just another monster with more HP. As a low-level monster near a beginner town, it had no special abilities like dungeon bosses or field bosses. Ding! Items flooded Xiao Mao's inventory. Fortunately, Xiao Mao had discarded so many scissors that he had enough room to store everything. He flew away from angry niece and nephew Seaweed to see what he got from the elite monster. White named Seaweed Rice Sag X100. Green named Fuyo Message Package X10. Green named Fuyo Rice Cooker X1. Green named Fuyo Wok X1. Green named Fuyo Cleaver X1. Gold named Uncle Seaweed Card X1. Red named Unidentified Blackstone X1. Seaweed Rice Sag, Common. This sag contains 20 kilograms of seaweed rice. It can be sold to local NPC for a lot of gold coins, or you use it to make food. By the way, you can't simply eat raw rice. You need to cook it first. Item type, food ingredient. Fuyo Message Package, 100 remaining uses, uncommon. This is the holy grail of all cooking recipes. By mixing a pinch of Fuyo Message into your food, its quality will be upgraded by 1 grade. Each package can be used 100 times. Please take note that consuming too much message is bad for your kidneys. Item type, food ingredient. Effect, upgrade food items quality by 1 grade. Can only be used once per food. Fuyo Rice Cooker, uncommon. This rice cooker is the favorite cooking tool of Uncle Seaweed. You can instantly cook up to 1 kilogram of rice anywhere and anytime. It is also waterproof, so you can even cook rice underwater. Item type, cooking utensil. Fuyo Wok, uncommon. This smooth and lustrous wok is one of Uncle Seaweed's favorite cooking utensils. Not only can it be used to cook good fried rice, but it can also be used as a shield. Get creative, niece and nephew. Item type, cooking utensil, shield. Effect, increase def by 10. Requirement, 15 str. Durability, 200/200. Fuyo Cleaver, uncommon. This cleaver is so strong, durable, and sharp enough to cut pork bones. Uncle Seaweed didn't give Fuyo to its title for no reason. Item type, cooking utensil, weapon. Effect, increase ATK by 10. Requirement, 15 str. Durability, 100/100. Unidentified Blackstone X1. A strange stone with a mysterious ominous aura. It cannot be identified with regular scrolls of identification. Give it to an expert to find out about its usage. Effect, unknown. Niahaha, Munya. Xiao Mao burst into laughter. He swam to the surface of the sea and grabbed a large stone boulder near the cliff. Then, he climbed up to get back on land. As soon as Xiao Mao got back on land, he brought out the wok shield and the cleaver to wield them. Although both items looked heavy, Xiao Mao felt like he held a pair of feather dusters. He could freely wield them with one tentacle. However, the size of the wok was bigger than Xiao Mao's head. The small tentacles clumsily moved the wok around, but Xiao Mao couldn't figure out the angle how he could use it in combat. In the end, Xiao Mao needed practice as he wasn't used to this body. Ding! Crap! Xiao Mao still had to go to school. He couldn't keep on playing like other no-life gamers or professional gamers. He sprinted toward a palm tree near the stone cliff. Then, he opened the game menu and pressed the logout button. Please work, Munya. It worked this time. The system processed the input and his character vanished. Xiao Mao's consciousness returned to his real body, and he could move again. Ding! Xiao Mao opened his human eyes. The first thing he saw was the butt and small balls of Munya, who had been sitting on the top of the glass hatch, menacingly looking at Xiao Mao's face. Munya. Scratch marks from cat nails were everywhere on the other side of the glasses. He was hungry. Xiao Mao snickered and poked the glass hatch with his nail. Ponk! Munya got spooked and jumped up. Then, he slipped and fell off the capsule. Mir and Nyanko were also surprised and stared at the game capsule with wide eyes. Xiao Mao got out of the hatch. He felt lightheaded as his current physique and brain hadn't adapted to the new behavior yet. Gaming while sleeping taxed his mind and brain. He still needed a proper rest as he didn't actually sleep at night. I guess I'll sleep at school. But when can I sleep? Oh, right. The classic infirmary. Xiao Mao got out and said as his mother had always asked. He didn't miss the morning bath this time. 7:30 am, at school. Xiao Mao went straight to the infirmary. As soon as the infirmary nurse saw Xiao Mao, she looked surprised. The usual infirmary visitors were categorized into three types: the sick, the wounded, and the slackers who wanted to sleep on the infirmary bed. As Xiao Mao had been doing well in classes and the first term's exams, teachers and the school staff paid special attention to him and gave him favorable treatment over other slackers and delinquents. Thus, when the nurse saw a rare visitor like Xiao Mao, she thought that he was really sick. What's wrong? Are you sick? Xiao Mao brightly smiled. I feel lightheaded. I'm kinda tired. The nurse inspected Xiao Mao and measured his temperature. I have those sags under your eyes. Have you slept last night? Probably not. What did you do at night? I work part-time at Uncle Qin Yun's convenience store. Oh. I see. I don't see anything wrong with you, so you probably didn't rest enough. How about this, I'll tell your homeroom teacher about your condition, and I'll let you sleep here a few hours. Thank you, senior. No problem. Get some rest and don't overwork. Studying 14 hours and working 6 hours a day is good enough to build your portfolio. Even if you fail to become a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, you can still pursue a financial career with your work experience. Many banks welcome hard workers like you. Somehow, Xiao Mao felt that something was terribly wrong, but he couldn't pinpoint what it was. He grew up with this kind of system since he was young, and he believed that studying 14 hours a day was the norm. After getting permission, Xiao Mao walked toward one of the three beds. Currently, someone had been sleeping on one of them, so Xiao Mao picked the next one nearby. After his head hit the pillow, he was fast asleep. Ding! Chapter 10 Cat Dad in Trouble. 11:50 am. Xiao Mao had enough sleep. He woke up and stretched. Then, he checked the clock. I really slept a lot, Munya. Xiao Mao raised his brows while he pursed his lips. He accidentally talked like a catopus. He closed his eyes and meditated to adjust his mind and thoughts. While his eyes were closed, he could faintly see floating blue screens behind his eyelids. They looked like an in-game system menu, but he couldn't read or see anything clearly. Xiao Mao's expression grimaced. I know that this stupid game influences every player's mind and body. In my previous life, it took me a few years before I and the game character started integrating. But I can't believe it hits me this fast. In his previous life, he played a human character, and the integration and assimilation process were not obvious. He felt that his strength, agility, and other physical abilities of himself got better after playing the game for 3 years. Unfortunately, his abilities were merely on par with average athletes. Many players got this boon from the game as well. It started out slow. But when players left the first 3 worlds and explored the real content of the game, everything in the real world changed. The gap of physical strength, speed, and abilities between gamers and non-gamers would become obvious. Every country no longer denied the existence of an alternate reality, and they invested in the new worlds to secure the uncharted lands and resources for their countries and their people. The game became inaccessible for the poor as packed price went through the roof. Having $1 million was not enough to buy a basic NFT character. And then, there were calamities, but that was none of Xiao Mao's concerns at the moment. I won't fall behind this time. I won't get stuck as a mortal forever. Also, my contribution level must be maxed at 100 before the landlord patch comes. As Xiao Mao got out of bed, the other student who had been sleeping also woke up. The curtain between them was opened from the other side, and Xiao Mao found a handsome Asian teenager with bleached blonde crew-cut hair. He also looked back at Xiao Mao with interest. Xiao Mao also recognized the guy. He was one of the top students from Class A, who always ranked first in school in his previous life. This guy was memorable as his name was the same as one of the famous historical warlords. In addition, he was also the eldest son of the mayor, and he was also famous in Pangu Online 2 in Xiao Mao's previous timeline. As soon as their eyes met, the student spoke in a clear voice, "Are you, perhaps, Miao Xiao Mao? Do you know me?" Xiao Mao frowned. "Yes. You stood out in school. Aren't you one of the rankers as well?" "Rankers? Oh, right. That hey." The rankers referred to the 10 top scorers in the previous term's exams. In the previous exams, Xiao Mao purposely scored 999 out of 1000 to make it natural, but this guy in front of him got a perfect 1000. In Asian culture, many students competed for the best rankings while their parents also competed with other parents whose children fared better in school. It was an ancient culture, but it was the norm for the local students to be compared with the others. "I'm Liu Bei, nice to meet you." "And nice to meet you. I know what you're thinking. My parents are ROTK's fans, so you can guess the rest." "I see. My condolence." "My condolence to you, too. Who in the right mind named you as a kitten anyway?" "Ha ha ha ha." Liu Bei laughed. His pupils expanded as he began to talk about the subject that he was interested in. "Say, have you been playing any Vermo games?" "Yes." "Why do you ask?" "Which game?" "Pangu Online 2. Liu Bei grinned. He leaned closer to Xiao Mao and whispered, "I can tell that you gamed all night for the first time. You need to manage your sleeping time better." Ding dong. The school bell rang, telling every student that it was the lunch break time. Liu Bei jumped out of his bed. Before he went out, he winked at Xiao Mao. "Pros tips. Before you enter any dungeon or hunting ground, make sure to pay the toll fee to the players that blockade the entrance. As long as you follow this unspoken rule, your gaming career will be very smooth and peaceful. Also, if you're at least level 30, you can apply to join my guild. It's called Shuhan Guild. Easy to remember because of my name, right?" Liu Bei whispered, "Anyway, if you join my guild, you don't have to worry about the school tests. My dad knows the principal. Several guys in my class are my guild members have IT, so you catch my drift?" In short, Liu Bei cheated to get the perfect score. Xiao Mao slowly nodded, but he was wary of Liu Bei. "Okay, I won't scare you any further. See you later, brother." Liu Bei left the infirmary. After Liu Bei was gone, Xiao Mao let out a sigh of relief. That was the most dangerous guy in the school. Xiao Mao was relieved that he didn't offend Liu Bei by an accident. Not only did Liu Bei cheat his way to the top, but several delinquent gangs in the school were also his henchmen. Whoever offended Liu Bei, the henchmen would find them and make the offender's life a living hell. Most of Liu Bei's targets were arrogant seniors and students from other schools. However, he never touched his classmates or talented students from other classes. Though, he often bullied men that he didn't like. Welp. At least, I'm not on his radar. Xiao Mao left the infirmary and went to the cafeteria. 7 p.m. after school. Even though all classes had ended, most students from A to D class remained in the classrooms, doing their homework and self-studied. On the other hand, most E and F class students rushed home. Xiao Mao was among the go-home clubbers. He avoided schoolgirls and sprinted toward the school exit as if his life was depending on it. As usual, Xiao Mao rushed to Qin Yun's convenience store for his part-time job. But as Xiao Mao was about to leave, he looked in front of him and frowned. He stopped his feet. A group of delinquents in blue uniforms had been gathering in front of the school gate, confronting a certain bleach-haired student and his followers. These guys came with their bikes, and they were all armed. Among the crew of Liu Bei, the brown woman that had once tried to seduce Xiao Mao was there as well. However, she was there with her boyfriend, who was wielding a baseball bat. Liu Bei glared at the leader of the blue-uniformed students from the neighbor's school. He yelled at them. You have 10 seconds to scram before everything is out of control. You don't want me to start a guild war in real life, don't you? Do you know what I can do to the father of your boss? The one that Liu Bei yelled at was a muscular man, who seemed to be older than teenagers. His towering height of 200 centimeters intimidated the grunts behind Liu Bei. Shi Hui, the gang leader of the BT High School, stared down at Liu Bei while he flaunted a foldable knife. Your guild members killed one of our gold miners. Bring that bastard out here, and we'll leave quietly. Liu Bei glanced behind him. The boyfriend of the brown woman smirked and flipped his finger at the gang leader. The Goblin Mountain belongs to the Shu Han Guild. Your miners trespassed our territory. We did nothing wrong. The gang leader bellowed, all goblins' towns and territory belong to the Shixian Incorporate. You're the one trespassing our guild's territory. Judging from their conversation, Liu Bei and this gang leader's boss dispute over their game's territory. Although conflicts and player killing were common in-game, not many players brought the fights to the real world. But in this case, there was an exception. After all, real money was involved. These two gangs ran a gold mining business in-game, and they often fought to take control of hunting grounds, resources, farms, and mines. Letting immature hormone-driven teenagers to run businesses was a terrible idea, and this was one of the outcomes when conflicts arose. Xiao Mao took several steps back and walked away from these troublemakers. He didn't want to get involved in the trivial squabble between gaming guilds. As he couldn't leave the school by using the front gate, he walked toward a school fence, which was 100 meters away from the school gate. The fence was only 2 meters tall, which was slightly taller than Xiao Mao. He grabbed the edge of the wall and climbed up. Upon climbing on the wall, Xiao Mao saw several bikers, who came with the blue-clothed gang leader. They also noticed Xiao Mao and yelled and pointed their metal pipe at him. Hey! One of those Shu Han bastards is here. Excuse me. Get that fool. Xiao Mao clicked his tongue. He kicked the wall and jumped back, remaining in the school. However, the bikers got off their bikes and climbed the wall, chasing after Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao had a wry smile on his face. He took out his phone and videoed the bikers' faces. Then, he began speaking. Those bikers from BT Public School are terrorizing BP International School. Right now, they are climbing the wall and threatening the students. Calling the cops might be a better option. However, the police might not be able to arrest every biker or do anything much as they were minors. As Xiao Mao knew that he didn't need to call cops as the teachers and school employees might have done so already, he took another approach collecting evidence. He navigated his social media app and started live streaming. Even if they would not go to jail, the school life of these guys would be finished. At the very least, once the footage went viral, these bikers would be either suspended or expelled. In addition, this footage would serve as Xiao Mao's alibi. He was not a part of the troublemakers. On the other side, as the bikers rushed into the school, Liu Bei and his followers noticed the commotion. The gang leader also turned toward his men. At that moment, Liu Bei brought out a stun gun and zapped the waist of the brute. Then, his men raised their weapons and charged at the bikers. Fights broke out and chaos ensued. Meanwhile, 2 bikers that had climbed over the wall rushed at Xiao Mao. Xiao Mao kept filming the biker using his left hand while he tossed his school bag to the side. Oh, boy! He's coming after me. He's armed and fast. I can't escape, Munya. Xiao Mao pretended to sound panicking, but he kept filming. One of the bikers reached Xiao Mao. He swung down his baseball bat, aiming at Xiao Mao's head. Xiao Mao ducked, and the swing missed. While semi-squatting, Xiao Mao clenched his right fist. Then, he glanced at his target. Below the belt. Self-defense punch, Munya. Mimicking a heel professional wrestler, Xiao Mao punched with all his strength. Johnny Cage's groin punch. Bam! Something soft and firm was cracked. Xiao Mao sensed the feedback, and his expression turned ugly as he was disgusted. The biker's face turned blue. His eyes rolled upward before he fainted. Ding!